Today I met a guy on the street and he told me correctly about my home country, age, favorite color, and my job. How the hell did he know? It's sleight of hand because you looked at the paper after telling him. If you didn't tell him a thing and he walked straight up to you and handed you an open piece of paper with your details written all over it, and told you to read it then and there, that would be more believable as mind reading. Street magicians are based. I wish we had them where I live. This is called mentalism, and usually involves some sleight of hand with the paper at some point. The background stuff has ways of being determined through various means. Usually those things are gathered before you're approached. They only approach those for whom they've been able to gather this information. Perhaps an accomplice picked your pocket and replaced the paper with an updated version? I wasn't watching, so I don't know how or when, but you aren't remembering everything accurately. Because you aren't supposed to. But there was a moment after you told him all the information, and before you uncrumpled the paper where you weren't touching it. When? I don't know. I was watching. But it was subtle and natural enough that you didn't even register it. Are you on social media? Was he wearing glasses? Some kind of sleight of hand misdirection. There's no actual other way. The fact he asked you to specifically answer the questions is the giveaway. I had a dude do this to me like 20 years ago. Same exact story. We were in an empty bar that I worked in and we were alone except for my bartender who was behind the bar. Never did quite figure it out. He wasn't close enough to me to pick my pocket. Only difference is, he wrote on a bit of paper and I held it. Told me to think my answers then open the paper. The weird bit was I thought one answer, but then changed my mind. The paper had my second choice on it. OP or anyone else interested, go look at some of Ben Sadman's YT on sleight of hand, pickpocketing, predictions, etc. He is a great magician, great fun, explains stuff really clearly and can still blow your mind with his execution of basic tricks. I've done this trick. When I ask you question 1, your job, I write down blue. Then crumple it up and give it to you. I ask you question 2, your age, but I write down what you said your job was. Then crumple it up. This goes on and eventually I ask you your favorite color at the end. The trick is to convince the person that you are guessing before they tell you the answer. Was it 27, red, and you're an engineer? Impressive use of sleight of hand. I wish I could see close-up magic in my life, lol. I would tell him that he was wrong and watch his reaction. This happened to me in Yorkville in Toronto. Pretty slick. Not the same questions, but the same routine. It was slick. Same donation request to Indian kids. This is a common scam. One thing they do is ask you a question for which most people would answer one of only a few ways. A guy did this to me and he asked for my favorite flower. Most people can only name a few. He also asked me my favorite fruit and I said mango, because it's clearly the of fruits, but he obviously expected something more common and kept pushing for a different answer. But I genuinely don't much care for fruit other than mango, so when I didn't change my answer he dropped that question entirely. There were numerous times when he could have made the switch, and he seemed very surprised when I was thoroughly unimpressed. I thought maybe it was just a bit of fun, then he asked how much I would pay him and it became obvious his intentions. Fucked off when I told him I didn't have any money. Maybe you should put a fraud alert on your credit cards too. Are you from Japan? Me, how did you know? I mean, my friend's neighbor was able to guess anyone's star sign first time, every time. I remember she asked me to think of a number between P-100. She guessed correctly it was 71. I have no idea how she did it. She guessed correctly even when it was someone she met for the first time. This is before social media. Well, some people had MySpace. We tested her all the time and she never missed a beat. So either she was some mega mentalist or she could actually read minds. That's basically my boyfriend. He's a retired police detective, and every time we meet someone new he guesses their age, profession, home country, etc., and I've never seen him guess wrong yet. He had to be good at reading people and picking up on subtle cues for his job, and he just got amazingly good at it. Now the guy you met could be like him, or he could be a street magician, in which case I'm not entirely sure how he did it. Do you post that on social media? Because there are paid apps where you can find someone's social media and/or basic information by taking a picture of them. I had this happen to me in Singapore. At one point he asked me to place the scrunched up note onto the notepad that he had been scribbling on. Just for a moment, but long enough for him to switch it without me noticing. Then went on to tell me how much cash I should put into his pocketbook to make my good fortune come true. He seemed very surprised when I refused, so I guess he wasn't peace after all.